Everybody, hi! Welcome back to Reading with Leon. I got another one where the buttons don't work, but the story's still good. This is Spiderman 2. Peter, have you heard a word I said? May Parker explained to her nephew, Peter Parker. Sorry, Aunt May. I guess I have a lot on my mind, he sighed. He was thinking about school, his job as a photographer at the Daily Bugle, and his friend Mary Jane Watson, MJ, was the love of his life, although he hadn't exactly told her that yet, and she had been angry with him. I can't count on you, Peter, MJ said. You're always late or you don't show. A big part of being friends is actually spending time together, you know? I think MJ is mad at me, Peter said aloud to his aunt. Don't worry about Mary Jane. Aunt May smiled. Things have a way of working out. Aunt May is probably right, Peter thought, as he pointed his scooter towards the city. But something else was bothering him. So what is bugging me? Oops, I forgot to show you the page. Here we go. So what is bothering Peter? Peter, now Spider-Man, asked himself what's bugging him as he swung across the sky. He landed on a rooftop and gazed over the city. Working for J. Jonah Jameson at the Bugle was no picnic, and at school his paper on the famous Dr. Octavius' Smart Arms project was overdue. But most troubling was not being able to reveal his secret as Spider-Man to Mary Jane. His thoughts were shattered by the sound of police sirens. Excuse me. Time to go to work, he frowned, but not without capturing a shot at Spider-Man. He set his camera in place, caught a web, and swung away. On his way to school the next day, Peter buzzed through the city on his scooter. He was lost in thought, wondering how he could make things right with Mary Jane. He parked his scooter and headed for class. Peter, a voice rang out as he reached campus. His professor, Dr. Connors, came hurrying towards him. Dr. Connors, Peter stammered, I know I owe you my paper on Dr. Octavius' project. Good news, Mr. Connors interrupted. Dr. Octavius is giving a presentation on his project this week. It would be a great opportunity to get on top of that paper. Thanks for the tip, Dr. Connors, Peter exclaimed. He couldn't wait to rush over to the Bugle after class. As luck would have it, J. Jonah Jameson needed Peter to cover Dr. Octavius' presentation. If the guy's not a quack, Jameson growled, this could be history in the making. What a perfect assignment, Peter thought, his scooter zipping towards Octavius' lab. Covering the presentation for the Bugle would give Peter the chance to learn more about Octavius' project. Reporters, scientists, and city officials jammed the lab while Dr. Octavius unveiled a huge machine with a harness and octopus-like arms attached to it. Octavius strapped on the harness and engaged the generator. While electricity arched from one tentacle to another, Octavius explained that the tentacles would respond to his every impulse. These smart arms will help humans in all types of situations, Octavius said as the generator began to throb. That machine doesn't sound right, Peter frowned, ducking out. In a blink, Spider-Man appeared. Suddenly, everything went terribly wrong. As the generator roared, a wave of electricity passed through Octavius and burst forth from his tentacles. The powerful arms, taking a life of their own, demolished everything, crumbling walls, shattering glass, and shredding metal. The crowd scattered. Down into confusion swung Spider-Man, landing near the whirring generator. He flipped the main switch. The power went out. Spider-Man has ruined everything, Octavius cried, crumpling to the floor. As police and emergency workers swept in, people rushed to help Octavius and ripped away his shirt. Only then did everyone realize that the tentacles had fused to the doctor's body. The crowd gasped. With an anguished cry, Octavius sprang away. Poor Spider-Man. The Bugle blames him for everything, MJ said the next day. But wow, Peter, you're great with a camera. Thanks, Mary Jane, Peter said, smiling. Thanks for having lunch with me. But listen, there's something I wanted to say. MJ looked up, startled, but pleased. Yes, Peter? Well, I wanted to say that, he stammered, but before he could say more, his spider sense began tingling. Something was wrong. But what? I wanted to say that I have to get going, Peter shouted and bolted towards the door. Peter, MJ cried. Sorry, MJ. Call you later, Peter called, hopped on his scooter, and was gone. Peter hadn't gone far when his senses began tingling again. Suddenly, a tentacle swooped out of nowhere and plucked him from his scooter. Hello, Parker. I'm Doc Ock. Ock shouted, laughing. He pulled Peter close to his face. They tell me you can find Spider-Man. Sometimes, Peter responded, struggling. Well, let's hope this is one of those times, Octus. Find him and tell him to meet me at Pier 56 tonight. A small crowd had gathered below, and police sirens, wee-oo, wee-oo, screamed in the distance. Find him or I'll hunt you down and kill you, Parker. Ock laughed and vanished into the city. That night, Spider-Man went to the pier as Doc Ock had ordered. Swinging over the buildings, he soon spotted the freakish villain. I'm here, Ock, Spider-Man said. Shooting a web, he landed above the doctor. Ock's tentacles began striking madly, trying to catch Spider-Man off guard. They were fast, but not fast enough to catch him. You ruined everything, Spider-Man. Now I'm going to ruin you, Ock laughed. The tentacles writhed in the air, hissing, Destroy Spider-Man, in the doctor's ear. Doc, don't listen to the tentacles. I saved your life, Spider-Man said. Help me destroy them. No, Ock screamed and laughed. Ha ha ha. My experiment was perfect. It would have worked if you hadn't interfered. Now I have to rebuild my lab and begin my work again. The doctor hesitated, but one of Ock's tentacles made a stab to finish off Spider-Man. With his spider sense tingling, Spider-Man was ready. He jumped away just in time, and the writhing arm smashed full force into the pier. Groaning, the old wooden pier began sinking into the ocean. Shooting a web, Spider-Man shouted, Take my hand! But Ock, his tentacles waving madly, refused to move. No, he said sadly, I won't see my experiment cause the world any more harm. And the pier broke away, pulling Doc Ock into the cold ocean. Spider-Man swung away seconds before the pier disappeared into the water. With police cars, wee-oo, careening onto the dock, Spider-Man swung in circles, looking for some sign of the doctor. Finally, with a heavy sigh, he cast the web and disappeared into the night. Peter convinced MJ to meet him at the coffee shop the next day. After dropping off his pictures at the Bugle, Peter raced off to meet her. MJ was already there when he pulled up on his scooter. MJ, Peter said out of breath, I'm so sorry about yesterday. It's a long story, but let's talk about what's important. For reasons I can't explain, my life is complicated right now. As much as I want to be, I can't be around you as much as I want. But it is something you want, MJ cut in, for us to be friends? Peter smiled. Oh yes, Mary Jane, it is something I want very much. Then MJ smiled. Then we'll work on it together. You try harder, I'll try harder, and we'll meet somewhere in the middle. Peter smiled to himself. Things have a way of working out, didn't they? Yay. The end. I'm sad for Doc Ock, though. Who is your guys' favorite superhero? And who is your favorite villain that you love to not like? Let me know in the comments and have an amazing day.